Okay, so now we're talking about L1 on the left side. What's that going to affect? Sensory.
The leg.
Yeah, same side, leg. Okay. So now we get into the lateral column, and we're going to have some ascending tracts. So again, of course, those are going to be sensory. And then in a lot of these other names of the tracts, you can tell the name in this, the posterior column, the fasciculus cuneus and gracilis, that's different. But in a lot of these other tracts, it's going to have two parts to the name. If it says spinal cerebellar, so where do you think it's starting? In the spine. And then it's going to go where? Cerebellum. Okay? And we've talked before about the cerebellum. Is that, do those tracts cross or not cross? Does the cerebellum control the same side of the body? Or
Same
side? Yeah. So in fact, some of them cross twice and some of them don't cross. Okay? But the idea is that, so here we're going to have dorsal, meaning it's going to be on the dorsal side, and then you're going to have a ventral side. So we're going to have two different tracts that go from the spine to the cerebellum. And obviously they're ascending, so they're going to be sensory tracts. Okay? So now we're going to get into reflexive and proprioceptive. So remember we talked about the cerebellum does what kind of control to the body?
Coordination.
It's like posture, coordination. People who have cerebellum problems have like problems with their gait and coordination and postural muscles and things like that. And then this one's called lateral, so the talus is obviously in the lateral column. And then spinal, so then where is it going to go to? The thumb. So that's going to be stuff that's going to go into here. Okay? From the spine to the thumbs. And then that's going to be pain and temperature information. And then now in the lateral column, we're also going to have pain and temperature information. Oh, wait. We're going to have some descending tracts. So what are they going to be? They're not going to be sensory, they're going to be what? Motor. Okay. So in this case, the name of it's going to correspond to that. So it's going to be, what does that cortical mean? Yeah, cerebral cortex. So it's going to go cortical spinal. So meaning that tells you it's got to be a descending tract. It goes from the cortex, cerebral cortex to the spine. And that's going to be voluntary motor information. So what does that mean when we say voluntary motor? Yeah, that means, okay, I'm doing this. So what would be unconscious motor? Would be what types of things?
Reflex.
Yeah, reflex, or also autonomic types of things. Okay, so lateral column. So now we'll go into these more specific things about the tracts. Here. So then we have lateral spinal thalamic. So spinal thalamic, what does that tell us? So it's ascending, so it's going to be sensory. Okay. So this is going to be pain and temperature. So is that going to go into the dorsal horn or the ventral horn? Dorsal, right. So let's say it's going to come in here. And then actually, I don't think we mentioned this, this is a dorsal root ganglion. So a lot of times you're going to have a synapse right there. So then basically you're going to have some type of receptor in the skin. Some type of pain or temperature receptor in the epidermis and the dermis of the skin. Okay. So again, here's going to be your first order neuron. It's going to be from the skin. It's going to go to the dorsal root ganglion. Okay. Then you're going to have a synapse here. And then that's going to enter the cord through the dorsal root. And and then it's going to go to the dorsal horn of the gray matter. Actually, this actually isn't a synapse right here. I'm sorry. It's that's where the cell body is. Okay, so the body of the nerve. It's not the synapse. It's the cell body. The synapse actually is over here in the gray matter. Okay. So it's in the dorsal horn of the gray matter, and then it's going to cross over to the other side. So in this case here, we're crossing at the level of the spinal cord. Whereas in this posterior column, it doesn't cross until it gets to the medulla oblongata. So here, this spinal thalamic tract is going to cross at the level of the spinal cord where it enters. So that's what's going to be significant. Because if we talk about a lesion where it's going to affect only half of the spinal cord, you're going to have loss of one type of sensation on one part of the body and another type of sensation on the other part of the body. All right, so then it's, like I say here, it's going to synapse, and then it's going to cross, and then it's going to ascend, and then it's going to go up into the thalamus, and then you have another synapse here, and then that goes to the cerebral cortex. So the first neuron goes all the way through here, and here's where the cell body is, but the synapse is over here on the dorsal horn.
Can you take it?
Oh, okay. Let's see. How about it's backwards? Okay. All right. So let's just do it. Let's do it again. So here's the sensory organ in the skin. So this neuron's going to go here like this. I'm starting to lose ink here. The cell body's right there, but it's going to have a synapse in the dorsal horn right here. So that's the gray matter, and it's the back part of the spine. So it's the dorsal horn. That's neuron number 1. So here's number 1. Then where does then it crosses at the level where it enters. So it's crossing here, and it's going to go in the lateral column. Then it's going to come. Then it's going to come up to the thalamus. So this is neuron number 2. And then where does neuron number 3 go?
From the thalamus.
The thalamus to the cerebral cortex. And so this is lateral spinal thalamic tract. And it's pain and temp. Okay? Sensors for pain and temperature are going to be in the skin. Okay? So some of the things that we talked about, joint proprioception, those are going to be receptors that are in the joints. And also could be like muscle spindles, Golgi tendon organs, things like that. So we talked about the posterior column. Both of these are ascending sensory. Both of them come into the dorsal horn. One of them ascends on the same side, which is the posterior column. The lateral spinal thalamic crosses at the level of the spinal cord, ascends to the thalamus, and then goes to the cerebral cortex. So one of them crosses at the same level where it enters. The other one ascends first and crosses at the medulla oblongata. Okay?